Welcome back to the deck card painting journey, and in episode 1 we're starting with the disgusting shambling mass of Poxwalkers. These guys are the perfect place to begin with. They're fast to paint, fun to mess up, and honestly, the more gross and chaotic they look, the better. I started by priming them with a Halford's Grey Primer. It's a great primer that doesn't stink out the place too much. These models have a lot of texture on them, so even a quick prime brings out all the grossness. Here's how I batch painted the whole unit. First, I painted on pallid witch flesh mixed with some Bugman's Glow for the skin. It doesn't have to be neat, the grime will cover it all later. With the skin drying, I made a start on their raggedy clothes by painting them with Dark Reaper, the boots with Abaddon black, and the lab coats with pallid witch flesh. There were two guys who had hazard suits on, so I gave them a base colour of Aberlin Sunset. Next, I hit all the metallic parts with Lead Belcher, and I wanted these to look weathered and old. So when they were dry, I took out some typhus corrosion, and I was unsure about how much I should put on. So for the first few models I put a heavy layer on, and it turned out good, but it can cover some of the details. So then I just switched it up to a lighter layer on the rest. Some of the weapons were made of wood, so I went with a lighter brown of Gortor Brown for their base coats. The final base stain was with a Steel Legion drab on any of the horns sticking out. I wanted these to have a similar colour that like a wild deer would have. I didn't want to have them all with the same skin tone. I wanted some in green, some with a more pinkish colour, and I set aside 4 or 5 guys to try out a red skin colour. I started out with the contrast paint Plaguebearer Flesh, and this is for the classic disgusting Nurgle look. And it's just transparent enough that it won't make him look like the Incredible Hulk. But then I switched to Flesh Tears Red, and oh boy, this wasn't looking good. It obviously was way too strong and completely turns the guy flat out red. So I make sure to heavily dilute it with some Lamb Medium for the next few guys. I'm just going to put it down as a learning experience, I guess. The final shade then was of Guilliman Flesh, and this gives them more of a zombie look than a Nurgle Poxwalker, but at least the Horde will have some variety in it. Then the fun part. I drenched every other part of the minis, like the clothes and the horns, with Agrax Earthshade to give them that overall dirty look. But I did give the metal parts a good going over with Nuln Oil instead. Let the filth build up naturally. Once the wash is dried, I dry brushed the whole model with Tyrant Skull to make the gross bits stand out. Now my dry brushing can be a bit hit and miss, so if some of it goes on too much like mine, what I did was I just simply went back over it with a diluted Reichland Flesh shade. It's light enough to bring the dry brush down a bit and not too heavy to cover the skin tone. Then it was time to add that little bit extra. So I added some Riser Rust with a dry brush over the Typhus Corrosion on the metal, and it really gives them that old rust look. For the boils and bugs that they have all over their body, I used Aberlin Sunset as the base colour, and to make him look sore and infected, I then gave him a shade of Carroburg Crimson. I also added slime effects using Nurgle's Wrath, just a bit on the guts and on the wounds. They're not clean, they're not pretty, but that's the point. These are rotten husks dragged to battle by the will of Nurgle. And here's the final unit, ready to spread the plague on the battlefield. They're painted fast, but still full of character. In a big horde, no one's going to notice the small mistakes. In fact, the messier, the better. If you're painting Nurgle Poxwalkers, don't stress the perfection. Focus on grime, contrast and texture. Thanks for watching episode 1, and in the next video I'm going to be tackling the cultists. Drop a comment if you've got any tips for painting Poxwalkers, or if you want to see a specific unit getting painted. And if you're enjoying the series, hit the subscribe button and join the growing horde.